starting to get chilly outside, so we thought we'd bring you 3 stories that might help warm you up. We've got 3 in particular. They've got a little bit of sun and certainly a lot of warmth at their core. So why don't you hop in and travel with me? My name is JB Salceda, and this is Texas Country Reporter. When you think about South Padre Island, you probably think about the sandy beaches, the beautiful water, memories with your family spent under the sun. What you might not realize is that it's home to a growing movement of artists who make use of a medium that you can find in abundance up and down this island.
I come out here and play with people and get to know them. I really feel like I get to know the tourists that come here better than just about anybody else. We are here, living in the moment, having a great time on the beach. It doesn't get any better than that. Now, I want you to watch what I do and then try to do the same thing with yours, right?
I thought I had the best job a guy could ask for, but Lucinda Sandy Feet Wierenga's job, teaching folks how to build better sandcastles in South Padre, might give me a run for my money.
You don't have to go down far, which is kind of more of a flick, see? So we can create that overhang, that sand just hanging out there in space. And I'll tell you what, if you haven't built it right, this is where it starts to crumble and fall down. I'd say ours are built very well.
What began as a hobby, her summer breaks as a school teacher, has turned into an artistic career that's taken her all over the world.
I was involved in a project in Kuwait a few years back that was the size of 4 football fields and 70 sculptors from all over the world working for 6 weeks. It was 1001 Arabian Nights. It was really interesting because being a Muslim country, you couldn't carve eyes. So we had to make swirls or stars or, things like that. Quite an experience. This would be a good time to go run out in the water and cool off a little bit.
How did you get into sandcastle making and sculpting?
Well, I met this guy named Amazing Walter, and he was using sandcastles as a way to meet women. And it worked. I was like, wow, how'd you do that? And he says, oh, come on, little girl, I'll show you. And we ended up being partners for many years, and we had a lot of fun. Once I got started, I couldn't stop. I was a school teacher, so I came and spent my summers out here building sandcastles just because it was so much fun.
She's right about it being fun. I had a great time. She showed me the tricks of the sandcastle building trade, something she's been doing for about 40 years now on the strangely special sands of the Gulf Coast.
We're very fortunate, the whole Gulf Coast. We got good sand all the way around to Florida.
And what about it is so good?
It's got a lot of natural clay in it. When you get it on your hands, you can't brush it off. That's the sediment in it, and it's sticky. And sticky is good when it comes to sandcastling.
And how many people do you think you've taught over the years?
Thousands, tens of thousands, I don't know. I'm getting people who had a lesson with me before saying, here's my kids, teach them too. Here's my grandkids, teach them too. And it's like, well, didn't I teach you? Why can't you teach them? It's not the same, it's not the same.
And it's not just clients that Lucinda's taught over the years. She's brought her nephew Emerson into the sand sculpting world.
My nephew Emerson is an up-and-coming sand sculpting star. I'm really proud of him. He studied art, so we make a really good team. He's my preferred duo partner because he's young and strong and he can shovel the sand like you wouldn't believe. So But he's also a wonderful teacher, and we really complement each other.
You know, a lot of artists, the things they make, they want to see it live in perpetuity. But a lot of what you build washes away every night.
That's right, most of it, almost all of it. And my counter to that is, you know, do you buy roses? You know that the rose isn't going to last either. You know, it's a temporary thing, and its temporary nature is probably a lot of its charm. It's people will come up and say, "You've worked so hard on this for hours, and the tide's going to come get it." It's like, yeah, thank goodness, or else we'd be tripping on these things, because I've built all over this island so much, you know, you'd have no place to walk. So it's a good thing that they don't last.
Don't worry though, there's a way to see some great sandcastles that do last. Lucinda has been a huge part of creating the holiday sandcastle village of South Padre Island, where they preserve sand sculptures for all to enjoy and view.
I want this to be my legacy. I want the Sandcastle Village to go on. So hopefully we're building a good foundation for that to continue even when I can't lift one of these anymore. But I just feel like the world would be a better place if more people sat down in the sand and built sandcastles together. It's such a calming, happy place to be. The beach, the sand, the water, you know, the kids laughing. I don't think it gets any better than this. So I want to just keep doing it and hopefully keep that foundation strong for the next person to pick it up and carry on.
One of the reasons I love traveling the back roads of Texas and meeting folks from all walks of life is that time after time, I see people come together in kindness to do something great.
Kindness, it cuts across everything. Kindness is not like political. Kindness does not belong to a specific group of people. It's a really great thing that we can all do, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody that would flat out say, "I hate kindness."
It's in these moments I see how much more powerful collective kindness is than the anger and polarization that have become so common today. At artist and author Spike Gillespie's ranch out in Garfield, Texas, she started a chapel to celebrate and commemorate acts of kindness. How did the Chapel of Kindness come about?
So during lockdown, like many other people, maybe most other people, at the beginning, I enjoyed it. Hey, it's arts and crafts time. By year 2, I was getting pretty worn out, and I was getting irritated with people, and the world seemed to be becoming more and more polarized. I personally needed an attitude adjustment, and one day it occurred to me, I already have this chapel. There are these other chapels that I really am fond of. Why not try to do something like that here?
And tell me about those other chapels.
This man built a chapel to honor the memory of his dog. And then people just started coming and leaving memories of their dogs. And it's just turned into this destination, this chapel for dogs. Now the other place, they have this room that's dedicated to St. Francis, and there are all these handwritten notes and milagros, and just, it's all about gratitude. Thank you for these miracles, St. Francis. And even though I'm not a religious person, I would just always go into that chapel and be so moved by it. So I have a chapel and it has walls, and I thought, well, maybe I can get something going.
Inspired by these chapels, Spike started inviting folks to come share their own memories and acts of kindness. Guests can come write down instances kindness made a difference in their lives, or people can mail in recollections to Spike, and she'll find a spot for them on the walls of the chapel.
So when people come in here, I want them to be, I want them to feel the alchemy of what a little kindness can do. Yeah, whether it's heavy or light.
On one wall of the chapel, visitors can read about an act of kindness Spike still reflects upon to this day.
One of my longhorns, she was in labor. her calf got stuck and died, and I didn't have the knowledge or the physical strength to deliver that calf, and I was in a serious panic. I started making phone calls, and there was a young man next door who grew up on a dairy farm. He came over and he had the experience and the equipment. Afterwards, we sat in his golf cart and we just cried. You know, he said that was the first time since he'd had children that he had to deliver a stillborn calf, and it deeply affected us. And then also, Justin and I, we laugh because we know, without, you know, officially asking each other for our opinions about the world and politics, we know we're really different from each other, and we laugh over it. So because of that incredible kindness, and then he also saved the heifer's life. He brought penicillin over and he saved her. So because of that, we've just become really good friends.
Mm.
Yeah.
Spike hopes these small acts she's collected in her chapel of kindness help folks remember that we all have more in common than we think.
It lifts my spirits, and I think it's a chance for us to show each other, because a lot of my neighbors are really different from me philosophically, politically, religiously. But when you're just sitting face to face, hanging out with somebody, there's so much that we have in common.
The Texas State Penitentiary in Huntsville is often referred to as the Huntsville or Walls Unit, a reference to the infamous, imposing red-bricked walls enclosing the 54-acre prison that, in addition to hundreds of inmates, houses the state of Texas's execution chamber. Less than a mile away, Debra McCammon directs the Hospitality House, a building that's developed quite a reputation of its own, but one centered on giving hope to the families of the inmates in Huntsville.
It's just an incredibly warm environment, and we were very deliberate about, going for a very calm, peaceful ambiance when the families come in. We just want them to be able to relax when they come in.
Before Hospitality House was built by the Texas Baptist Prisoner Family Ministry Foundation in 1986, families of inmates in Huntsville had little resources to help them when they journeyed to visit their incarcerated loved ones.
It was built because men in 1985 in the local churches had heard all about the women that were sleeping in their cars overnight with guns and knives in their laps to protect themselves. And they were literally parked all around Huntsville to get close to the prison they were going to. The men in Huntsville and these churches said, hey, we got to do something. We need to put together a place that's safe for these families to go to, a place they can stay and have that provided for them.
And that's what the Hospitality House has been doing these past 40 years since its founding, giving families a free place to stay and a few warm meals while they traveled long distances from all over the state and even across the world to visit loved ones. The mission supports those that so many forget, the other victims of crime, the families left behind.
I think a lot of people don't really consider when someone goes to prison, it's the family is impacted in a pretty big way.
I don't think about the family that is left without, someone helping earn an income, the mother not having someone to help with the children.
It's not just routine visitations that bring people to Hospitality House. They also open their doors as a resource during huge life events, both somber and joyful.
Some of the other reasons families come is they come to town because they've had a loved one who died in prison. We have women who come in to get married at the prison. In fact, Joe's getting ready to go and officiate at a wedding at one of the units for one of our regular guests.
Hospitality House strives to make the guests feel welcome so they can at least not worry about lodging and meals while they're visiting. Most of all, it's a place where the families don't feel judgment. Just this October, Debra received a letter of gratitude from a mother who stayed at the house on the night her son was executed.
But 2 weeks later, she sent me a beautiful card thanking me for the soup, thanking me for the prayers, the conversation, just thanking us for being so hospitable. And she mentioned that over and over, that she couldn't believe that there was no judgment, no criticism of her son or of her family, and how very safe and loved they felt here.
Do you think that the men in the different units here understand the sacrifices and challenges that their partners and the women go through?
I really don't think they do. I don't think they understand how very hard it is in our world today to pay for an apartment. Taking off work and missing 2 and 3 jobs to be able to come, to be able to make the visit, the loss of income that causes, and then trying to have to regroup those funds, then to be able to just live. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think the men know how difficult it is for these women, for the children, those bars clanging shut behind them.
Supporting the children is just as much a part of the mission at Hospitality House for Debra.
70% of children in Texas who have one parent in prison are destined to go to prison themselves, according to the state of Texas, because they don't see any other way. So for us, providing a pathway of hope beyond the shadow of crime for these children is very, very important to us as well.
Hospitality House offers activities for the children, and they also donate school supplies and pantry items for the families. But it's not just filling bellies and backpacks. They also embody the spirit of Christmas by making sure there are no empty stockings or bare spaces under the trees of the families who come visit.
We bring the moms or the dads in here to do their shopping, and over here is the bag that we give them. And it's a full-size, large trash bag. We don't say, how many do you need? We just say, get what you need. And they come out of here with it bulging with toys.
This selfless, giving spirit, fostered by Debra and Joe, has proven infectious, and it's built an environment where people return even after their spouses pay their debt to society in the Walls unit. When Caitlin Albright first came to Huntsville to visit her husband Seth, she was sleeping in her car, but before long, she found a home among the families at Hospitality House, and now she works there, helping to keep the mission going.
I've lived this. Both my parents have been incarcerated, my brother's been incarcerated, my husband's been incarcerated, and so I've experienced it from all the different angles, and I can relate to all these families. Like, I get what the struggle is, I get what the emotions are, I get how the finances are, how having to travel and go sit at a visit and take your kids to visits, and how stressful it is to be here, so I can really resonate with the guests.
Knowing that I have to answer to Miss Debra and Mr. Joe, that I got to be here every weekend, that I'm here every weekend and I got to see them, keeps me straight. And, I don't want to disappoint them, They believe in me so much.
Like, I am very invested in this house. This is an amazing ministry, and for someone who's going through it, when your other half's in prison and you're out here on one income with kids and lonely, it's amazing. Like, the connections here are amazing, and God works in this house.
Why do you have so much empathy?
I don't know. I have such a passion for these people and for these families. I feel so sorry for these wives and children having to go through this. Why I have it, I don't know, other than I feel like God just gave me the empathy for them. They ask me this question all the time. They say, Miss Debra, why do you love us so much? And how do you understand so well what we're going through? And I don't understand it myself. I just feel like God's given me the ability to have that kind of empathy for them. I have a real sense of the hardship, financial hardship, that I can just imagine what it would be going to go through that when you're working hourly wages, but you love your son and you need to want to go do it. You love your husband. You want to be there for him and support him and let him visit you so that he can have an outlet of conversation and have someone who cares to come visit. We can help educate, and the more we can bring awareness to the plight of the families and to all the things, the challenges they're facing and the hardships that these families go through, I think it just will help so much society really see them for real people.
We absolutely love when we get story submission ideas from our audience. And this week, I'm super thankful to Bev and Larry Lawrence, who I've known for years, but called me with the fantastic tip on the great work that the Hospitality House is doing in Huntsville, where they live. So if you've got a great idea, don't keep it secret. Send us a DM on social media or hop over to texascountryreporter.com and send us an email. But in the meantime, I look forward to next week when I hope you'll hop in and travel with me as we continue on this journey down the back roads of Texas. My name is JB Salceda, and this is Texas Country Reporter.